Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the new year. Today's lesson is about the favor of God. Before we get started, I want to introduce a new friend. Her name is Lucy the Giraffe.
Hello, my name is Lucy, and I'm excited to hear all about the favor of God.
Do you know what the favor of God is, Lucy?
Favor? Do you mean like asking God for something?
Not exactly, Lucy. God's favor is more like a recognition of your relationship with God. The Bible says that God honors those who honor Him, and if you honor God with your life, He's gonna favor you and honor you with many blessings.
Oh, like the story of the Shunammite woman in the Bible?
Yes, that story is a perfect example of someone that was favored by God. Why don't you share that story with all of us?
Shunammite's land is restored. The prophet Elisha knew a woman who lived in Shunem. This woman was very kind to Elisha and always offered him food and a place to stay every time he was in town. The woman even had a room for him built on the roof of her house. Elisha was thankful and wanted to do something for the woman. Elisha's servant, Gehazi, saw that the Shunammite woman's husband was old and they had no children. Gehazi told Elisha that the woman might want a son. Elisha sent his servant to tell the woman that in a year, her and her husband would have a child. The woman was so happy and couldn't believe what the prophet had told her. She told him, "Please, man of God, don't mislead your servant." Around the same time the next year, the woman gave birth to a son. The son grew older, and one day while with his father, he fell sick with a headache. His father called a servant to take him to his mother, and she held him until he died that day at noon. The woman laid her son on the bed in Elijah's room. She called her husband, but didn't tell them that their son had died. She told him to send her a servant and a donkey so she could visit Elisha. Her husband questioned her, but she told him it was all right. Elisha saw the Shunammite woman coming from a distance. He sent Gehazi to greet her and ask about her family. She told him everything was all right, but when she reached the prophet, she fell to the ground in front of him and grabbed his feet. She told him, "Did I ask for a son? Didn't I tell you not to mislead me?" Elisha sent his servant to the woman's home and told him to take his staff and lay it on the boy's face. Elisha and the woman followed behind him. When Gehazi reached the woman's home and laid the staff on the boy's face, there was no response. The servant turned to Elisha and told him that the boy did not wake up. Elijah went up to his room where the son was laying and began to pray to God. He then laid himself on the boy, and the boy's body grew warm. Elisha got up, walked around the room, and laid on the boy once more. The son sneezed 7 times and woke up. Elisha told his servant to call the boy's mother. She came into the room, fell at Elijah's feet, and bowed to the ground. She then took her son and went out. After some time, Elisha visited the woman to tell her very important news. God told Elisha there was going to be a famine in the land that was going to last 7 years. Elijah told the Shunammite woman to leave with her family wherever they could. The woman listened to Elisha and left with her family to the land of the Philistines. After 7 years, the woman returned to Shunem and went to the king to ask for her land back. At the same time, Gehazi was talking to the king about all the great things Elisha had done. Just as Gehazi was telling the king about the dead child Elisha brought back to life, the Shunammite woman arrived to ask for her land. Gehazi told the king that she was the mother of the child who was resurrected. The king asked her about what happened, and she told him. The king then told one of his workers to make sure she got back everything that belonged to her, including all the money made from her land from the past 7 years.
Thank you for sharing that story with us. It's a good example of somebody that had God's favor. And just like that woman in the story, there's not famine in our land, but there is a virus, and the Lord has told our pastor for us to stay home and just wait for the moment for us to go back to church. We have to follow the instructions, and above all, we have to look for the Lord at home and we must be obedient to his word in order for us to see his favor this year. I hope you enjoyed the story, and goodbye.